Hi, Joyce here. For those of you that are new to Excel, I wanted to show you how to do some simple mathematical calculations, focusing mainly on adding a column of numbers. And I'm going to show you how to do this using 3 different methods. I believe it's important to know all 3. That's why I'm including them. I actually have the instructions written out here so you can easily follow along, not only with what I'm doing, but you can see the instructions on the side. And just to let you know, at the end of the video, you'll be able to click on a link to request your copy of this workbook. So to get started, I'm going to use the point method first. This is definitely the longest method, but it is important to know. So step 1, click in the cell where you want the answer to be. I write this down as step 1 because this is a step that people often forget. They'll start out on the first cell that they want to add, and then that's where their answer ends up being. So step 1, click in the cell where you want the answer to be. Step 2 is to type an equal sign to let Excel know that you're about to enter a mathematical calculation. Next step is to click on the first cell to be included. In this case, that's B6. So you can see up here, I have to start in my formula. I just want you to focus up here for a sec. I'm just going to show you that when I click on other cells, you can see that my cell address up here is changing. So I'm going to go back to B6. I need to lock that in. I don't want it to change. And I lock it in by pressing the mathematical symbol that I want to use. I want to add, so I want to type a plus sign. So I've typed my plus sign. Now you click on the next cell to be included. And once again, you lock it in with the mathematical symbol you want to use. Once again, a plus sign. And then I just carry on down my list, doing the same thing, clicking on the cell, locking it in with the plus sign, and so on. Click and plus, click plus, all the way down. Now on the last one, you do not lock that in with the plus sign because if you do, you're going to get an error. So you lock in the last cell by pressing enter. And there you have it. So that is the point method. I'm going to do it one more time just to reinforce it. So step 1, click where you want the answer to be. Step 2, type an equal sign to let Excel know that you're about to enter a mathematical calculation. Click on the first cell to be included, lock it in with the plus sign. Click on the next cell, lock it in a plus sign, continue all the way down, clicking and a plus sign, clicking and a plus sign. And when I get to the very last cell, I click and I lock in the last one by pressing enter. So that is the point method. It's long, but there's going to be times when you're going to be really glad that you know how to use the point method. I'm just going to delete these 2 numbers, and I'm going to use the second method. So I'm going to add the expenses for Jackson, and once again, I'm going to click in cell B17. So I'm going to use a function, and in Excel, there are over 250 functions, and some of the functions perform very simple calculations, some of them perform very complex calculations. With a function, the calculation is actually built right into the function. So you don't need to know how to actually do the calculation. You just type in the name of the function, give it any variables that it needs, and Excel will do the rest of the work. So the steps to use the function: step 1, click in the cell where you want the answer to be. Step 2, once again, is to type an equal sign. Then you type in the name of the function that you want to use. I want to add, so the function for that is sum. So I'm going to type in sum. Upper lowercase does not matter. Then after the name of the function, you want to put an opening bracket. And After the bracket, I'm going to enter the parameters that the sum function needs in order to add the column. In this case, it just needs to know what cells to add. So I'm going to highlight the cells that I want to include and then put in my closing bracket. So with all functions, you have the equal sign, the name of the function, and then in brackets, any variables or parameters that it needs. So I'm just going to press the Enter key to finish that off. I just want to mention it says B6 colon B15. The colon means inclusive. So let's go over to the expenses for Griffin, and I will use the function method once again. So click where I want the answer to be, type an equal sign to let Excel know I'm about to put in a mathematical calculation, type the name of the function, put in my opening bracket, highlight the cells to be included, type my closing bracket, and press Enter. So that is using the function method. I like to show you that because Excel has a lot of functions, and those are just the basics of using a function. So I'm going to delete it, and I'm going to show you the third method. Pretty sure this is going to be your favorite. Once again, you click in the cell where you want the answer to be. This time you don't have to type an equal sign. Actually, all you do is go up and click on the Autosum button up on the right-hand side of the ribbon. So I'm going to click on Autosum. And Excel uses a sum function, and it guesses at what cells to add. So you want to check and make sure that it's guessed correctly, and if it has, you just press the Enter key. If for some reason Excel did not guess correctly, you would have to highlight the correct cells yourself. Just going to do that once again for Griffin. So I'm going to click where I want the answer to be, so C17, and go up and click on the Autosum button. It's guessed correctly, so I can just press Enter. Definitely the fastest method, the Autosum, and it's the one that I most frequently use. I'm just going to delete this last number here because I'd like to show you that I only actually had to do the first column, because what I can do now is I can use this little handle down in the bottom right-hand corner of my cell pointer. I don't know if you can see that little square, but that's called the autofill handle, and that's copy, but with some intelligence attached to it. So I just get on that square, and I click, and I drag it over to copy the formula. So what happens when I copy a formula? It will increase the column letter by 1 for every column that I copy it across. So right now I'm in B17, and my formula is equal sum bracket B6 colon B16 close bracket. If I click in C17, those B's have changed to C's. And if I click in D17, those C's have changed to D's. So you only need to do your formula once, then use the autofill handle and pull it across. Let's go down and calculate the remaining balance. So what we want to do here is we have our total expenses, we have the monthly allowable, and we want to find out what the remaining balance is. So we want to subtract our total from our monthly allowance. And we're going to need to use the point method for this. We can't use the function because sum only adds, it does not subtract, and we can't use Autosum because it's using the sum function. So we're left with the point method. One of the reasons why this is such an important method to know. So once again, click in the cell where I want the answer to be, type in an equal sign to let Excel know I'm about to enter a mathematical calculation, Click on the first cell to be included, which in this case would be B19. Lock it in with the mathematical symbol I want to use. In this case, it's a minus sign. Click on the next cell to be included, which is B17. This is actually my last cell, so I lock that in by pressing the Enter key. So I'm going to do that once again for you. Click in the cell where I want the answer to be. Type an equal sign to let Excel know that I'm about to enter a mathematical calculation. Click on the first cell to be included. Lock it in by pressing my minus sign. Click on the last cell to be included and press Enter. I can now just grab the autofill handle and just drag it across to our last column. And once again, if I go back and I click on C21, you can see my formula is equals C19 minus C17. And when I copied that over to column D, those C's will change to D's. So that's basic adding and subtracting. I just want to mention that the point method, if I was to want to add cells that are on different worksheets or maybe even in different workbooks, this point method works perfectly. You just click in the cell where you want the answer to be, type an equal sign, and click on the first cell to be included. Clicking on the first cell to be included might mean that you have to click on a different tab or you have to go to a different workbook. Doesn't matter, it works perfectly. I hope you enjoyed that. And once again, I would like to remind you that you can click on the button that has appeared on the screen and request a copy of this workbook or the instructions for the 3 different methods of adding. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you on my next video.